readers, welcome to Novels with Nat. Today I want to do a video trying to predict the top 20 books that are going to be in the first round of the Goodreads Choice Awards in the mystery thriller category. So I want to preface this video by saying that I don't think that the Goodreads Choice Awards is a perfect objective system to finding the best mystery thriller of the year. Obviously, there is some bias involved. It's a bit of a popularity contest and what have you, but I think it's still fun to look back and see what books were published in the last year that have been widely enjoyed, popular. And I do also enjoy the sort of quantification aspect. I like to see the numbers. I like to see how many votes each book is getting, how many reviews they've got, what they're currently sitting at ratings wise. And so I thought, since this is the first year that the Goodreads Choice Awards is going to be happening where I actually am making videos, I thought it would be fun to try and predict the top 20. My favorite creator that does this is Ashley from Ashley's Little Library. I think she does an amazing job. Her system is a lot more scientific than mine. She has like a whole spreadsheet and tracks many different things, like if they were involved in like different book club picks, or if they were like a book of the month pick or an aardvark pick, and she tracks all kinds of different things in this big spreadsheet. That is far too smart for me. I don't know if I could do that, but I really enjoy her video, so I thought I would do my own kind of system, which is just me as an avid reader looking back at the last year of my main genre and just taking a guess. And so I want to see if I can get as many right as possible. My goal is to get hopefully 50% right. So I'm trying to aim for 10 out of the 20 correct. We'll see how I do. And then I'll film another video once the top 20 is announced and sort of react and reflect on how I did. So like I said, the mystery thriller category is the only one that I'm going to predict. It's my most read genre, so I feel like I've read quite a number of the popular ones, and I can sort of have a bit of a gauge on that genre. And so I think my method was I compiled a list of all the books that I thought maybe stood a chance, and that was about 35-ish. And we had to get it down to 20. So what I did was I compiled it down to my 20. It took me a while to really hem and haw and think about it. But I have my top 20. That is my prediction. So I thought first I could go through really quickly, just kind of rapid fire, the ones that I ended up eliminating from my original list and why I didn't think that they were going to make the cut. But before I do that, I should also mention what the qualifications usually are for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think the main two qualifications are it has to be published within a 1-year time span. I think it's typically like November of 2024 to about November of 2025. There are specific dates. So the books have to be published in that time. And as well, the books have to be having a minimum average rating of 3.5 or above in order to qualify. So anything below 3.5, it's not eligible. And I think there are a few other little rules, like if it's part of a series, only one book from that series can be nominated. And I also think that if a book is nominated in the mystery category, it can't be in any other categories, and vice versa. So it can only be nominated in one category. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through first really quickly the ones that I eliminated from my initial sort of list of all of the books that I thought could make it, and then we'll get to my actual top 20 predictions. All right, so first there were two that actually were on my initial list, but then when I looked at Goodreads, I saw that they would actually not be eligible to win the Goodreads Choice Awards or to be nominated. And one of those is actually Riley Sager's most recent release, With a Vengeance. This one only has a 3.38 average rating, so it is not even close to being able to be in the Goodreads Choice Awards, which is a bit surprising. He's a very popular author. I think he's been nominated before in the Goodreads Choice Awards. So that was a bit of a shock. I will say that I did read this book. I gave it 3 stars, or maybe 3.5, I can't remember. But I don't think it was one of his worst at all. I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people are saying that it was. It was nothing great. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I thought it was a fine sort of locked room mystery. So that one will not be nominated. And the other one that I thought was a bit surprising that will not be nominated is Julie Chan is Dead. It's a little bit closer. It's 3.44, but I don't anticipate that it will reach the 3.5 by the time the awards close. This one I did read. I didn't really enjoy. I gave it like 2.5 to 3 stars. But I do know that it was widely popular, and a lot of people that I've seen talking about this book actually had a lot of positive things to say. They thought it was like kind of over the top and fun and just like a different take on a thriller that we haven't seen this kind of concept before. But I didn't too much enjoy it. So I guess I'm seeing that the rating is sort of reflecting that. And so it won't be able to be qualified for the Goodreads Choice Awards. All right, so now moving along to ones that are eligible, but that I ended up eliminating from my prediction list. First, we have Frida McFadden. This is one of her novellas, Death Row. I did read this. I thought it was fine. I gave it 3 stars, but I eliminated it just because I don't think that a short story will make it to the top 20. As well, the average rating is pretty low at 3.55, but it does have quite a number of ratings at 162,000. That's kind of a lot, but I'm fairly confident that a short story won't make it. So next up we have The Compound. This one I eliminated because I strongly believe that this book is not a mystery thriller. There was no mystery whatsoever, and there was nothing thrilling about this at all. To me, this book is very much literary fiction, and so I would hope that this isn't going to be nominated in the mystery thriller category. I am, however, skeptical. I'm wondering maybe I should have included it just because I know it was very popular. It has 56, almost 57,000 ratings. The average rating is pretty low. It barely made it, 3.58. But the only thing is, I was remembering back to last year, and the winner of the mystery thriller category was The God of the Woods, which I think is also more of like a literary mystery. So it was pretty light on the thriller aspects. Also, kind of from what I've heard, I ended up DNFing it, but I heard it was also pretty light on the mystery aspects as well. So I was a bit on the fence with this one because this one definitely toes the line as well between, I guess, thriller, mystery, and literary fiction. But ultimately, I decided to eliminate it. We'll see if I got that correct or not. I did not enjoy this book. I gave it 2 stars. All right, and then we have This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I have not heard a lot about this book since it was released in March of this year. The average rating is fine, not that high, not that low, 3.64 with 21,000 ratings. She's a popular author, but I don't know, something in me told me it's not going to be nominated. And then next we have the new Janice Hallett book. I've never read a Janice Hallett book. I do have a couple on my physical TBR. I think her books are written in like mixed media style. So this one, it does have a very high rating, 4.11, but it only has 3,600 ratings. So it was just released though in September, early September. She has been nominated before, I believe. I could be wrong, but I decided to eliminate this one. I just wasn't feeling confident. Okay, and then we have the new Dan Brown. This book also came out in the beginning of September, and I know he's a very popular author, but I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it hasn't been out long enough to really get a lot of traction and talk about it. It does have 42,000 ratings, but I don't know. I just don't think it will make it. It has also, I don't know to what extent this counts for anything, but I also tend to look at the genre tags on Goodreads, and I'm seeing that the number 1 is fiction and the number 2 is thriller. Now, I don't know if the order of these tags have anything to do with how much it falls into which of those categories, but I do tend to gravitate towards whatever the first one is, and I'm seeing fiction, so maybe I don't know, maybe that played a role in my decision making process. I've never read a Dan Brown book, so I'm not sure. Okay, and then I have You Belong Here by Megan Miranda. I know she's a very popular author, but I was surprised to see that the rating of this one is very low. It's at 3.54, so again, barely made it. It also came out in July, and so I would think that it would have more ratings by now at this point in the year, but it's sitting at 21,000 ratings. So I decided to eliminate this one as well. And then we have Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. I did read this one and I did not enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars. I eliminated this one for similar reasons to The Compound, in the sense that to me, this book did not read like a mystery thriller. There really was nothing, there was no mystery that we're solving in this book whatsoever. To me, this one read a lot more like crime fiction type of a story. And so I just decided not to include it. The average rating is okay, has a decent number of ratings, and she is a popular author. So maybe I made the wrong choice, but we will see. All right, and then we have Sarah Pekkinen's new release, The Locked Ward. This one I did read, and I thought it was not one of her best. I gave it 3 stars. which was surprising because I did end up voting for her book in last year's Goodreads Choice Awards. Um, House of Glass, it was called. And it did not end up getting very many votes. And I knew it wouldn't, but I still just voted for the one that I enjoyed the best on the list. Um, so I ended up eliminating her release this year just because I didn't enjoy it as much and it doesn't have very many ratings. And similarly for Forget Me Not, which is Stacey Willingham's newest release, I read it, I gave it 3 stars, kind of forgettable. The average rating is fine, it has a fine number of ratings, but I just don't think that this author has been as popular with her later releases. I think A Flicker in the Dark and All the Dangerous Things did really well, and I think her last 2 releases have kind of been starting to fizzle out. So we'll see. Then I eliminated Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. This one I DNF'd. I thought it was really boring, really over the top, just ridiculous. The average rating is pretty low, so I think that's kind of reflective of that as well. So I eliminated that one. I also was on the fence about The Woman in Suite 11 by Ruth Ware. She is such a popular author, and I was confident she would make it. But then I looked, and she does have a pretty low rating on this one at 3.57, and it came out in the beginning of July, so it's had time to kind of build some readership. It has 37,000 ratings, but that rating is just pretty low. So I'm not sure if this is going to make it. So I ended up eliminating it and going with another book instead and took its place and swapping them, but I don't know. I have not read this one yet. I did read The Woman in Cabin 10. It was fine, 3 stars. Um, but I would like to watch the TV show before I read The Woman in Suite 11. So I eliminated it. Maybe I will regret that later, but I didn't end up including it. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. This one is also one that I was on the fence about including, but ultimately I decided to not include it. Um, the average rating again is fine, 3.75, 22,000 ratings. I just feel like this one did come out earlier in the year, in May. So I would think, I would look for something with a little bit more ratings by now. Um, I do know Alex North has been popular in the past. I think he's been nominated as well. Um, but I don't know. There were only 20 spots and I had to make some tough choices. So I ended up eliminating it. All right, now we're going to talk about my actual top 20 predictions. These are the books that I think are going to make it to the Goodreads Choice Awards round 1. I was considering doing a guess of the top 10 and then also the winner. I just felt like I really couldn't narrow this down anymore. It was hard enough for me to get it down to 20. So we'll see. Maybe once the top 20 is announced, I will do a quick prediction based off of that. I'm not quite sure yet, but I just am predicting the top 20 for now. All right, so the first one, I have these sorted from highest rating to lowest rating of my top 20. So the highest rating one that I chose was The Impossible Fortune by Richard Osman. This is the 5th book in the Thursday Murder Club series. I chose this one just because I feel like series books always do tend to make it just because their ratings are higher because people who enjoy the series are going to continue reading it and they will probably rate it higher. So that's why I included it. I also, aside from just having a very high average rating of 4.38, it does also currently have 29, almost 30,000 ratings. So that's pretty good. And I think it came out very recently. For similar reasons, the next book I chose was We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. 4.29, really high. I have not read this book. I don't plan to read it. But I know Karen Slaughter is a very popular author. There are 51,000 ratings on this one as well. So I ended up choosing it. I wasn't initially going to, but then when I saw how high that rating was, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to include that one. Next, I chose Love Mom. This book I personally read and did not like. I gave it 2 stars, but it has a really high rating at 4.23. I think it also has a crazy number of reviews. Yeah, 121,000 reviews. So I'm fairly confident this one will make it. It's kind of like a popcorn thriller. Not my style of book. I know that these kind of thrillers are very popular. They're kind of like Frida McFadden style writing. So I'm confident this one will make it. Next, I ended up going with the second book in the Vera Wong series. Again, 4.2, pretty high. Let's see how many ratings this one has. 45,000. So yeah, I think I always tend to gravitate towards thinking that this series books will make it. So again, that's kind of why I chose that one. This one I was on the fence about. Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I read it, I gave it 3.5. It was fine. But this is her first adult novel. And so if it was a young adult, I would be confident that it would make it into the young adult category. But I'm just not sure with her sort of debut in the adult world if it will make it. But the average rating is pretty high. And let's see how many ratings it has so far. 68,000. So that's a lot. So I think it will at least make it to the top 20. I'm not sure about top 10, but I'm confident top 20 at least. And then we have The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. I didn't read this one. I don't necessarily have plans to, but I heard a lot of people talking about it. I think it was a pretty popular one. I think also thrillers about writers and books in general tend to do pretty well. So that's kind of why I chose that one. Again, high average rating. Let's see how many reviews. 50,000. So yeah, that's why I chose that one. King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. I think any S.A. Cosby book will 100% make it. He's such an amazing author. I think he really is the best sort of crime fiction writer right now. And he definitely has a lot of like thrilling aspects in his books. This one is on my TBR. I haven't read it yet, but I would really like to. Yeah, has quite a number of ratings and 4.07 average rating. I'm fairly certain this one will make it. Again, this one is a second in a series. It is a sequel to The Perfect Marriage. This one is The Perfect Divorce. I read it. It was fine, 3 stars. But it has a lot of ratings, 193,000. So I think, again, a lot of people who really enjoyed the first one that was wildly popular would read the second one, and that kind of is reflective in the number of ratings. So I think this one will make it. Next, I put John Marr's newest book. Has a 3.97, but it does have 78,000 ratings. I didn't expect that. I haven't heard a lot about this book, to be honest, but it has a lot more ratings than I would have expected. So for that reason, I included it. And then, of course, we have Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden has 3 books that were eligible to be nominated this year. 3 full-length books and 1 novella, which I already talked about eliminating. But I included all 3 of her full-length novels. She always makes it and usually sweeps the majority of the spots in the top 20, and then also in the top 10 a lot of the times. Her books are just so widely read and widely they're fairly well received. So I ended up including all 3 of her eligible books, full-length books. So we have The Intruder. I read it. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I found it predictable, but I do think that the majority of people will enjoy it. I think a crazy number of reviews. Yeah, 93,000, and it just came out very recently. So that one I think will definitely be on it. Sherry Lapina, another very popular author. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. She Didn't See It Coming, it is called. 52,000. It's a pretty good amount of ratings. She's just a very standard, reliable, consistent mystery thriller author. So I thought that she would definitely make it. And then we have the third book in the Molly the Maid series. I did read this one. I thought it was fine. I gave it 3.5 stars. I sort of didn't love it as much as the first and the second, but it was okay. And this series, sort of whenever there's one release, it always makes it to the Goodreads Choice Awards. So that's why I included it this year. And then again, we have The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I did not like it. I gave it 2 stars, but it's Frida McFadden, so I had to include it. 450,000 ratings. That is insane. This one will definitely make it. And then we have The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. I've heard amazing things about this book. It's on the shorter side. I think it's like 250 pages-ish. But I am very intrigued. This is on my TBR. It has 84,000 ratings. That's a lot. And this is only her second book. So I really want to read it, and I think it will make it to the list. Lisa Jewell, of course, is going to make it. I'm fairly confident. She's a very, very popular author. What do we have ratings-wise? 112,000. So yeah. I am not too interested in this book. The premise just sounds pretty basic to me, but I'm pretty sure Lisa Jewell will make it. Okay, and then we have Famous Last Words. This one I really enjoyed. It came out a while ago, actually, almost a year ago, I think, and I gave it 5 stars. I had a great time. I really enjoyed this one. How many reviews? 101,000. A lot of these authors, I don't hear a lot of people talking about very widely, but then when you look at their books, they have a lot of ratings. So that's interesting. I'm very pleased to see that. I thought it was an amazing book. So I'm hoping that it is nominated. I included that one. And then we have the next one is Count My Lies by Sophie Stalba. This was her debut novel, and while I do think it kind of is borderline copycat-ish of another book, which I won't say which one because that can kind of spoil it, but I did enjoy it at the end of the day. I gave it 4.5 stars. Wasn't quite a 5 star, but it was still really enjoyable. This one I think also was very popular. I think it was like a GMA book club pick, one of those book clubs. It was a pick for that one. It has 58,000 ratings, so I included that one. And then I have Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. This one I did read. I didn't really love. It was too long. It was a bit convoluted. I gave it 3 stars. It was just fine. 50,000 ratings, 3.72. So this one I was kind of on the fence about. I was going kind of back and forth between this one and the Ruth Ware or the Alex North. Ultimately, I chose this one just because I think this one is a podcast thriller, and I think people tend to like those. I'm not much of a fan, but I think it's really popular, that trope. So I don't know. Something in me just told me to go with that. I just kind of went with my gut. That's my strategy, is just go with your gut and just see how it does. I don't have any kind of strategic vision beyond that. And then we have The Last Freedom McFadden, The Crash. This one has 3.7 ratings, so not super high, but I'm assuming a lot of reviews. Yeah, almost 500,000 reviews, so I'm pretty sure that will make it. I gave this one 3 stars. It wasn't one of my least favorite from her. And then last, I included Alice Feeney's release, Beautiful Ugly. The rating is not very high, 3.6, but she is such a popular author. Yeah, 240,000 ratings. So I think this book will make it. I didn't read it. I don't really plan to read it. I don't think Alice Feeney is necessarily the author for me, but I think that she's the author for a lot of people. So that's why I included her on this list. All right, so that is my top 20 prediction. Let's review really quickly. So these are the books that I have kind of finally settled on as my top 20. It took me like about 4 or 5 days to really think about it and mull it over, but I have locked it in. This is my top 20 prediction. I am happy with this list. I am, fingers crossed, hoping that I get at least 10 out of 20 right. We will see. But yeah, these are my top 20. And then let's also look of that top 20. These are all of the ones that I have read versus the ones that I haven't read. So I've read, let's see, how many? Okay, so I've read 11 of my top 20 predictions. So again, my predictions are kind of based off of both my own reading of the book and my gauge of like how popular and widely loved I think this book will be or is, based on my own reading experience of it. But also, again, I haven't read the other half of the books that I chose, so those are just kind of based off of what I've heard people talking about them, the numbers that they're drawing on Goodreads right now, and so that's kind of how I put this list together. Okay, so that is it for this video. I think that was fun. I really like predicting things and seeing how well I do or how poorly I do. It's kind of like end of year. I love this time of year when it comes to reading because we're talking about like what were the best books of the year. Everyone's doing their end of year favorites and wrap ups, and it's just the perfect time to reflect on your year of reading. I just love it. I also love looking at the numbers of the books and trying to see what was popular, what's not, and things like that. But what I really want to know is I want to have a little bit of a discussion with anyone in the comments. What do you think of my top 20? What do you agree with that I included? What do you disagree with? Are there any books that you would have included that I didn't or that I might have forgotten about? I would really like to know, like, what are some of your predictions for the top 20? So, like I said, I'm going to be filming a reaction video once the top 20 is announced, and we will see how many I ended up getting right. And I'll pull back up this list and we will kind of compare and contrast with the actual list. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot to me. I make all kinds of bookish videos and I have a lot of plans for end of year reading videos. So subscribe and keep a lookout for more videos from me coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.